Coming up, the ice gives way on Lake George, sending 3 people into the water. 2 days and 2 faulty hydrants slow down firefighters. And is the dollar bill being replaced with a coin? Next. Proceed with extreme caution. Words from authorities after 3 people fall into the frigid waters of Lake George while riding on thin ice. Good evening, I'm Jerry Gretzinger. Rescue crews were called into action not once, but twice to the same spot on the lake where snowmobiles and ATVs were just too much for the ice to handle. It happened off Assembly Point Road in Lake George. The first incident, an ATV broke through the ice, sending 2 people into the water. Rescue crews quickly pulled them to safety, but then a short time crews were back at it when a snowmobile broke through the ice. That driver also had to be rescued.
Typically in the channel between Assembly Point and Speaker Heck, it is, the conditions can be marginal at any time. There's a pressure ridge that forms there, so you have to watch it. For ATVs going across there, it's a very dangerous situation.
None of the victims' injuries are considered life-threatening. Now, the scene did not deter other people from venturing out onto the lake today, some zipping right past our cameras in the same area where the ice had broken. So how do you know if it's safe? DEC officials advise if you're going to use a snowmobile, make sure there's at least 6 inches of solid ice and steer clear of areas near shore or where streams enter and exit. Those are often weaker spots. And if you're not sure, call local authorities or a sportsman's club, where you should be able to find a reliable report on the conditions. Well, it's time now for a look at our weather forecast. And speaking of ice and how thick it is, let's see if things are going to get any more frozen as the week goes on. I think things might get more white a little bit later in the week. Mike Augustyniak here now with first weather. Hey, Mike.
Yeah, Jerry, if you liked the less cold weather that we had this weekend, it looks like after midday tomorrow, you're in for a sorry surprise as temperatures will take a plummet once again. We'll wake up not all that cold, 21 at 8 o'clock with a chance for a flurry mainly north of Albany. We'll all get a chance for some flurries coming up through the day. Noontime temperature about 28, and then it's again afternoon into the evening hours when temperatures really fall. In fact, winds really pick up tomorrow by 6 o'clock. Jerry, gusting as high as 40 miles an hour. And the cold is one ingredient that will lead to what I think will be a pretty snowy stretch for us midweek. We'll come back and talk about that in a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Mike. A tragic accident atop Whiteface Mountain. A Peru man was killed while skiing on one of the more advanced trails. State police tell us 53-year-old Regine Willette slid off the path and fell into the woods, slamming into a tree. He was rushed to a nearby hospital where he was pronounced dead. Police tell us he was wearing a helmet. Well, flames broke out in Troy early this morning, forcing one woman out of her home. That happened around 4:30 at the house at the corner of Jacob and 15th Streets. We're told the woman was inside the 2-story house when the fire broke out in the attic. She did get out safely. The fire harder to fight than it had to be because the nearest fire hydrant failed to work.
The frost line is so deep, it affected the drip valve on the hydrant, and the water leaked back and kind of came up through the came back up through the water valve in the middle of the street. The water department came to the scene. All we did was shut down that hydrant, and we utilized a second hydrant for the water supply.
The cause of that fire still under investigation. It is the second day in a row that a faulty fire hydrant caused trouble for local emergency crews. Yesterday, members of the Glenville Fire Department had to scramble when the hydrant near this house in Burnt Hills also failed to work. And fire investigators still trying to figure out what sparked the fire at an apartment building in Schenectady Saturday, leaving several people homeless. Flames broke out in the 5-story building on Queens Road just before 4 in the afternoon. One person was sent to the hospital for smoke inhalation. 3 floors there sustained heavy smoke and water damage. If police pull you over this week, chances are they'll be looking for your kids. That's because it's National Child Passenger Safety Week. Officers tell us as many as 20% of children do not get properly strapped in when they're taken for a ride. The basic rules: kids under 4 need to be in a car seat, children between 4 and 7 need to be in a booster seat, and anyone under 16 riding in the back has to wear a seatbelt. And so you know, everyone in the front seat has to buckle up.
Most parents, grandparents, and child care providers are not aware of the recent changes in the law affecting child passenger restraint systems and seats, so that's a big part of why we're doing this campaign.
Those who violate those rules of the road will be ticketed. The fine anywhere from $25 to $100. Well, they all deal with the same medical condition, but today dozens of area kids had something to cheer about. The youngsters, members of the Sugar-Free Gang Diabetes Support Group at Ellis Hospital. They attended the UAlbany basketball game rooting for their new favorite player, Brian Connolly. Connolly recently diagnosed with diabetes. and is an inspiration to his new young fans, one of whom shared his questions for Brian with us.
When he got diabetes and how it feels like to be out here playing the game.
So you're excited then?
Yes, very excited.
Oh, it was amazing. I mean, I think I'm going to go talk to him pretty soon. So, I mean, just that I can be looked up at like that, I mean, it feels great. Hopefully I can set a good example.
Well, Brian's coach describes the basketball player as a really great kid. He says if the smaller kids are looking for a role model, they found the right guy. The 49th Annual Grammy Awards came to an end just a few moments ago here on CBS, and some of music's top stars went home very happy.
This is the first time I've ever been up here to receive anything, and I thank you so much.
Tears of joy for singer Mary J. Blige, taking home several awards, including Best R&B Album and Best Female R&B Vocal Performance. She was up for 8 Grammys tonight. Mayer won Best Pop Vocal Album. The Dixie Chicks took home the Grammy for Album of the Year. Awards aside, the live performances rocked too. Shakira, Justin Timberlake, Beyonce, and The Police, who started off the show, all came together for a night to remember. Now, as we told you earlier, a local man's work on an album received not 1 but 2 Grammy nods. Unfortunately, though, he didn't win this time around. Thomas Bellino of Catskill works with a recording company, Planet Arts, and co-produced Up From the Skies, the music of Jim McNeely by the Vanguard Jazz Orchestra. It was nominated for Best Large Jazz Ensemble and Best Arrangement, but they shouldn't feel too bad. They did win a Grammy in 2005. Good for them, at least. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, meteorologist Mike Augustyniak back in with our CBS 6 Instant Doppler forecast and talking about maybe a significant snowfall event this week for us, and maybe some snow for us, but a whole lot more that was happening out west. Still ahead, why folks in Japan are watching all of this with envy. And then a company that claims they can keep your dearly departed pets close to your heart by turning their remains into diamonds. You're watching CBS 6 News Sunday.